Understand the Jewish roots of your Christian faith, Bible prophecy, and why you should stand with Israel. I'm Rabbi Jonathan Bernis, and my co-host Ezra Benjamin is joining me again today. And Ezra, this is a banner day, very exciting.
Yeah.
We are going online today for the first time with our Lost Tribes Discovery Center.
Yeah, this is years in the making, Jonathan.
Years
Can't
in the
wait.
making, and we're tracking the Lost Tribes of Israel. We're going to talk today, Ezra, about why this is important. Who are the Lost Tribes, and why it matters to God, and why it should matter to you. It should matter to you. You know, Ezra, the Lost Tribes, there's a mystique around the Lost Tribes. I don't know if many people know exactly who are the Lost Tribes.
It's a very exciting term, but the question to me is who's lost? I mean, I know my family's Jewish. I think I know who's in the Jewish community. So who are these lost Jewish people, and how did they become lost, and who's finding them? Have they all been found? I mean, these are all questions maybe you at home are thinking. It's a huge topic.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's like an Indiana Jones adventure, but instead of looking for the Ark of the Covenant, the Lost Ark, we're looking for the lost people of Israel. Now, they're not really lost, Ezra. God knows where they are. But just to give a quick recap, God calls Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, and he promises Abraham, his name isn't even Abraham yet, but that through Abraham, the world would be blessed. All the families on the earth would be blessed, and he gave them a land of inheritance. Now, what's interesting is that Abraham and Sarah were barren, or Sarah was barren. They had tried to have children. They weren't able, and God says, you're going to have not just a child, but you're going to have a great nation. You'll have a whole nation as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands of the seashore. Now, that promise doesn't come to pass for a long time, and they jump the gun.
Another baby's born first.
That's right. Sarah comes up with this. Idea, take my maidservant Hagar, and Abraham agrees, and they have a child, Ishmael, and Ishmael becomes the father of the Arab people with a prophecy, a specific prophecy. Read it in Genesis 16, that Ishmael would be a warrior whose hand would be against his brother and against everyone.
So let me make sure I'm understanding. So the whole Arab-Jewish conflict, the whole Arab world is born out of Hagar and Abram's child.
Yeah, and the conflict goes back that far. That's why it's so complex.
There it is.
It's all the way back to Genesis 16. Ezra, this is a family conflict. This is a family feud, and no one's been able to settle it.
For a couple millennia.
Understand that Isaac, who becomes the child of promise, born after Ishmael, is Ishmael's brother, and this is a family conflict that begins with you'll be against your brother, Isaac. And so we have the Arab-Israeli conflict to this day. But Isaac becomes the child of choice, and God declares it's through Isaac that the land will be given, and the seed promise will be fulfilled.
And then Isaac begets Jacob.
Then Isaac begets Jacob. Now, what's interesting about Jacob is he's not the firstborn. Esau is the firstborn, but God chooses Jacob. In fact, his mother chooses Jacob, and God supports that calling of Jacob, and he receives Isaac's blessing. Jacob goes through his own crisis as a result of this deception. Has to work for 14 years for the woman he loves, and he has an encounter with God, and his name is changed to Israel. Now, Jacob, or Israel, has 12 sons through different mothers, But those 12 sons become the 12 tribes of Israel.
And so Jacob becomes Israel, or prince with God, or the one who strives with God and prevails, and he has this new destiny. The land promise is affirmed in Jacob, but his sons don't stay in Israel. So what's going on there,
so
Jonathan?
those 12 children become the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
That's the people of Israel, the Jewish people, all trace back to Abraham, then through Isaac, through Jacob, whose name is changed to Israel, and those 12 clans, those 12 tribes. So they dwell in the land after Egypt. They all end up in Egypt because of a famine,
right,
and they become slaves in Egypt eventually. And then God delivers them out of Egypt. This is the great Passover Exodus story.
Sure.
And they travel through the Promised Land, the children of Israel, and after 40 years, when the older generation dies off, Joshua brings them into the Promised Land.
Right.
They establish themselves in the Promised Land. You have a period of judges, and then you have the establishment of the golden age of Israel under King David. Then Solomon, the temple's built by Solomon, but after Solomon, the united 12 tribes divide.
Okay.
10 to the north,
right,
2 to the south. The tribe of Israel, the tribe of Judah in the south. Those 10 tribes are taken captive by the Assyrians in 722 BC.
And this is when all the trouble begins.
Yeah,
a
we're talking about
significant
2,700 years ago.
Sure.
And those 10 tribes taken over by the Assyrians never return. There's no record of them after that. And so they become known as the lost tribes of Israel.
I want to make sure I'm understanding. So 2,700 years ago, the majority by population of what would have been Jewish people living in the land of Israel are kicked out of the land of Israel. They're actually forcibly taken into another empire.
They are taken into exile, and we don't hear from them again in the Bible specifically. Okay. We don't hear about the kingdom of Israel anymore.
Right.
So what happened to those 10 northern tribes?
Okay.
And the answer is the 10 lost tribes are scattered throughout the nations of the world. Where are they? Well, God says, I will identify you and I will bring you back in the last days. You'll be scattered, beginning with the Assyrian captivity.
Sure.
And then about 150 years later, 586 BC, the 2 tribes in the south, the kingdom of Judah, is then taken captive by the Babylonians.
But they come back under Ezra and Nehemiah.
Only a remnant, Ezra. Only a remnant to rebuild Jerusalem and to rebuild the temple. They too are scattered. So you don't just have the 10 lost tribes, you now have the scattered Jewish people that never come back as part of the remnant, also to account for. And then you have the scattering of the Jewish people in 70 AD and again in 136 AD, when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem and the temple and they scatter the
So this remnant of our people, Jonathan, comes back to the physical, to the land that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but the vast majority of our people exit seemingly never to be seen or heard from again.
But God knows where they are, Ezra. They're not lost to God.
Yeah.
Hey, we have some incredible resources that we want to get into your hands. The lost tribes matter to God, and they should matter to you because we're in the day when this is being fulfilled before our very eyes.
Yeah.
What are the signs of the last days? One of the signs is the regathering of the outcasts of Israel, the regathering and discovery of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, and the people of Israel that are part of the Babylonian captivity as well. We have a fantastic DVD that I want to get into your hands with an accompanying Lost Tribes map This is really interesting. This is an adventure.
Yeah, Jonathan,
Ezra.
that DVD changed my understanding of where our people are in the world.
Yeah, it's actually produced by A&E, Quest for the Lost Tribes. Quest for the Lost Tribes. Find out where they are, who they are. We go into it in detail in this DVD, Quest for the Lost Tribes. We also have this beautiful map. It's a Jewish Voice exclusive. And Ezra, some other things we're offering
Jonathan,
as well.
we've produced this coffee table book. This is one of my favorites. This is the story of the one by one in all the places where we've been able to travel and meet and serve our scattered Jewish people around the world, Africa, India, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe. The story of those individuals is here in this book.
Yeah, Jewish Voice is a unique ministry. We are ministering to these lost tribe communities. That's brought us to India. That's brought us currently to Zimbabwe and to Ethiopia. And we are helping Jewish people in need, these scattered tribes of Israel in need. And we're providing free medical care, dental care, eye care. We're about to do another outreach clinic now, and we want you to be part of this. We want you to partner with us. We have these products as our way of saying thank you for partnering with us. You can give a one-time gift, and we'll send you the DVD and the map. But I really encourage you to become a monthly partner with this ministry. For your monthly commitment of $30, we also want to include the book and the beautiful Africa map to put on your desk. These are just ways of saying thank you for standing with us to reach Jewish people, to bless the Jewish people. Well, welcome back. This is a historic moment in the history of our ministry. This is our Lost Tribes Discovery Center. We have just gone online, and we are now tracking the movement of lost tribes, scattered tribes. We're talking about Jews that have been scattered to the nations of the world, and God is now restoring them. This is a prophetic moment. This is an end-time event. The restoration of Israel in 1948, of Jerusalem in 1967, and now of lost tribes being identified, coming to faith, and many returning to Israel is a direct fulfillment of Bible prophecy. And you can see behind me, we have different maps, we have different countries. Ezra, when you're done, come on over and join me. Tell us what's going on. This is very exciting.
This is exciting.
Very
We've
exciting.
just gone online here in the new Lost Tribes Discovery Center, and our assistant Bill and myself were just looking at the Ethiopian Jewish communities, the various Ethiopian Jewish communities, where they are in Ethiopia, what Jewish Voice is doing to form relationship with and minister to those communities.
Yeah, so we're tracking many different Jewish communities.
We are.
And in particular, Zimbabwe, we're focusing on the B'nai Menashe.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later on, by the way. We're talking about the Lemba Jewish community.
In southern Africa.
In southern Africa. And what I want to talk about for a few minutes is Ethiopia.
Okay.
And there's specific lost tribes or scattered tribes in Ethiopia that we're not only tracking but involved in. Talk about that.
Definitely. We've actually been involved with the Ethiopian Jewish communities for 21 years now, John.
Wow.
It's amazing. Time flies. There's really three groups, and I know we're going to talk about one in particular today, of Ethiopian Jews. There's a group called the Gafat who live in southern Ethiopia, and Gafat means the blowers, like the blowers of the shofar. And their story is that they marched through Ethiopia blowing the shofar over hundreds of years. And then there's a group in central Ethiopia, including in the Somali region in eastern Ethiopia, called the Beta Avraham, which means house of Abraham. But the main, and we can say the most historic Ethiopian Jewish group is called the Beta Israel, which means literally the house of Israel. Where do they come from?
Okay, so it's a Hebrew name.
Yeah.
The Beta Israel, that literally the house of Israel.
Exactly. It's a Hebrew name and an Amharic name because Ethiopian language and Hebrew, Jonathan, are historically from the same root language.
So Ezra, they're referred to as the house of Israel.
Correct.
By their own community?
Correct.
In Ethiopia.
To this day, by their own community called the House of Israel.
We have the map. We have their locations.
We do.
In Ethiopia mapped. And
Yes.
you can see that the surging circle, they're actually mapped in very specific areas of the country, right?
Correct. All the major population centers of Ethiopian Jews in the land of Ethiopia today.
Okay. Ezra, the obvious question, how did they get there?
Yeah.
And then how do we know they're Jews?
Right, it's a great question. And because the Bible is largely silent on how Jewish peoples got to where they are today outside of the land of Israel, we need to rely on oral tradition. But fortunately, we have a little bit of a hint in the scriptures regarding the Beta Israel, the Ethiopian Jews. Tradition has it, and the Ethiopian Jews assert through oral tradition, that Solomon and Sheba, as we know according to the biblical account, the Queen of Sheba comes to see King Solomon in Israel, and according to the tradition, they had a child. The Queen of Sheba returns to Ethiopia, historically called Cush or Sheba in biblical terms, pregnant, and has a child named Menelik, which is a very similar word to the word for king in current Ethiopian language, and that is traditionally the father of the Ethiopian Jewish people, which now is literally hundreds of thousands of people.
But wouldn't that be the entire Ethiopian population then, if that were true?
No, because that was the royal line. The Queen of Sheba was the royal line in the midst of all the peoples of Sheba. And actually at the time, Jonathan, we can see on the map the current political boundaries of Ethiopia. But the kingdom of Sheba at that time extended across the entire eastern seaboard of Africa.
Ethiopians claim we didn't convert from paganism to Christianity. We converted from Judaism.
Right?
Exactly. Because of this.
Exactly. The Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity, which is practiced by 30, 40 million Ethiopians in Ethiopia and around the world today, actually owes its heritage to the Jewish faith. Wow. It's amazing. Such a connection between Ethiopia and Israel. So they go all the way back, so they claim we go all the way back to the time of Solomon. Yes.
And so the Beta Israel say we've been here since the time of the Queen of Sheba.
Exactly.
That is incredible.
2,500
Is that
plus years.
supported historically?
It is supported historically. There's always been what we can say is a Jewish hint or a Jewish influence throughout Ethiopian history. And the state of Israel and the state of the nation of Ethiopia today still view themselves as inseparably linked. This connection between the Ethiopian people, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and the Jewish people in the state of Israel. It's an amazing connection.
Ezra, briefly, how do we know that the Beta Israel, these people that identify as Beta Israel, and how many are we talking about?
We're talking about, believe it or not, Jonathan, 150,000 living in the land of Israel today, and then between 50 and 100,000 remaining in Ethiopia.
150,000 living in Israel.
Yes, Jonathan, tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews, the world said are lost, and then the world said they're never going to come back to the land of Israel, but the Lord brought them back. He's doing that not just with the Ethiopian Jews, but with Jewish communities around the world today. Jonathan, we have some resources that we want to get into your hands at home, some fantastic teaching resources, a documentary to tell you all about what God's doing with our scattered people.
We don't sell resources here at Jewish Voice. We create resources to sow into your life, to bless you as you enable us to bless the Jewish people in places like Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, India with the B'nai Menashe, Manipur, India. Absolutely amazing.
Incredible.
The border with Somaliland, it really is. And we have some resources that are just thank you gifts that I think will be a real blessing to you. The first one is a Lost Tribes video. It's called Quest for the Lost Tribes. And this really is an adventure because there are lost tribes of Israel that God said would be scattered to the world.
Right.
But God said, I'll bring you back. And he's bringing them back now, and you get to be part of it.
Yeah.
We get to be part of this together.
Yeah,
we also
that's
have a real unique Lost Tribes map, and we want to send these to you. We want to sow these into your life. We want to bless you as you stand with us through monthly support. That's what I really encourage you to do. If you give a one-time gift, we'll get these resources out to you. But if you can become a monthly partner, that's even better. By becoming a monthly partner, you're going to help us to bless Jewish people every month with medical care, dental care, eye care, all completely free of charge, but most importantly, the gospel.
Yeah.
And if you'll become a monthly partner, we also want to send you this Lost Tribes of Israel. It's a beautiful book that we've put together with incredible pictures. And as we also have this...
yes, just a prayer reminder. How can they believe in the one of whom they've not heard? A reminder to pray that the Lord would send laborers like you into the harvest fields to reach our people around the world.
Listen, it's not about the gifts. It's about blessing the Jewish people.
Yeah.
I really want to encourage you to get involved with this ministry today.
Yeah.
Today. God is at work restoring Jewish people. Today, Jewish Voice is launching these medical clinics to provide free medical care, dental care, eye care, water purifiers, and we're earning the right to share the gospel. We cannot do this without you. Yeah. Here's what happens when you become a monthly partner. This month, your $30 can treat one eye patient with an eye exam, with critical treatment, even cataract surgery. Imagine that, giving sight to a Jewish person every month with your $30 support. Ezra, we're seeing incredible stories on the field.
Yeah, incredible. Lives changed, lives touched, lives transformed, Jonathan. It's incredible. Just medical care, not only medical care, medical, dental, eye care, people who are drinking from dirty streams, being able to drink clean water. All of these patients, tens of thousands of patients a year, one by one, having the invitation to go pray with somebody and hear about Yeshua.
We just had a clinic day yesterday. How many did we treat?
Exactly. You ready? 3,001. 3,001 patients, Jonathan, in one day in Zimbabwe.
One day. That's people. 1 day, one medical clinic, a week-long medical clinic. 3,000. Imagine making a difference that transforms a life. Do you love the Jewish people? I believe you do. Well, if you want to bless them, and the Bible says, I'll bless those that bless the children of Abraham, that bless the Jewish people. It's talking about the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
One eye surgery in place of a simple meal that changes a life forever. The gospel. But this $30 that you give today is going to provide cataract surgery or eye surgery for a Jewish person, maybe a Jewish child. Please don't miss this opportunity. Pick up the phone and call today. Hey, if you have prayer needs, if you'd like more information about our ministry, you can log on to our website. It's jewishvoice.tv, jewishvoice.tv. God loves you, and so do we. As we close our program, I want to remind you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Psalm